Family and Consumer Science.
Mr. Greenland's podcast.
Let's learn facts.
Feet on the floor, back straight, never bow to your plate. Chew with your mouth closed, chew with your mouth closed.
Hello, everybody. Mr. G, straight out of school, right down. Here I come. Made it here just in time. It's time for Apple Appreciation Day. Here we go. Let's get a piece of paper out. We're going to talk about apples and fruits today. And we're going to give you the ingredients and the methods to make apple crisp. A fabulous, yummy dessert. And we're here in New Hampshire. It's apple season. Apple every day keeps the doctors away. Get a piece of paper. Top hand, left hand side, name, date, period. First name, last name, period, date. And then in the center, let's put the Apple information video or Apple information fruit video. Still calming down from classes. We're making apples in class today. You guys are going to make some apples today. So let's number that paper 1 through 20. And let's leave a couple spaces between each line. And the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to give you a little background about the apple. Okay? So take some notes. It ain't no joke. We're going to take some notes. Then we're going to talk about apples. Then I'm going to give you some questions about apples. First thing that people ask me is, hey, Mr. G, what's the deal with an apple? Is it good for me? Is it bad for me? The apple a day keeps the doctor away? Well, let's take a look at this beautiful chart that I have here. It says right here, apple, okay? An apple is involved in glucose metabolism in maintaining healthy blood sugar. That's a micro mineral. What that basically is saying that since apples and fruit have natural sugars in them, it is far superior to have an apple than it is to have granulated processed sugar. This is sugar in its natural state. You just can't go wrong. And look at, apples are right here too. Apples are right there in the carbohydrate. Now, a carbohydrate provides a steady source of energy for the body and provides structural consistency for the formation of cells. Say it ain't so. We got three things that apples are good for you. Mr. G, did you bring another thing off your wall today? You know I did. I knew it was coming down here. Let's see. Let's see if we can find the apples on here. Apple, where are you? Apple, it must be true. Here we go. Apples. An apple is recommended vitamins. That has in it, if you can believe such a thing, A, B, B2, B3, B6, B7, B12, C, D, and zinc. Good stuff, that apple. Mr. G, how do I know if an apple is a fruit or a vegetable? Or what's the difference between a fruit and a vegetable? Funny I should ask. Here's the answer to it. I don't want you writing this down quite yet. I'm just giving you some information, some foreshadowing, as I like to call it. An apple, a fruit contains seeds. Let me start again. Fruits contain seeds, while vegetables consist of mostly roots, stems, and leaves. So a tomato, and it's always been a bit of controversy. What is a tomato? So since tomato has has seeds inside of it, it is considered a fruit. The skin of an apple should be washed. Even if it says it's organic or you just picked it right off the tree, you should wash that because it is exposed to outside air, bugs, insects. So wash that apple off. And there is a lot of good vitamins and nutrients and fiber in that skin. So that whole apple, the apple a day keeps the doctor away, old saying. We got a bunch of carbohydrates, a bunch of vitamins, a bunch of other great microbial goodness in it, a lot of vitamins. Not a bad idea to eat an apple a day. It does, in fact, keep those doctors away. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G. What else can I use apples for? Apples can be used as a replacement for eggs. If you want to not use eggs in some products, either you're a vegan or you want to try to lower your fat when you're baking goods, if you use 1/4 of a cup of applesauce, will replace 1 egg in any recipe. The applesauce will bind just like an egg will, and it will also give it a little sweetness. So that's something fun about apples. Apples were native of England and were brought over to England in the early, I believe, 16th or 17th century. Were brought over, and the colonists started planting them here. And you heard this thing about Johnny Appleseed, that old folklore that Johnny Appleseed walked around putting seeds down everywhere. Well, that's kind of a far-fetched thing, but the idea is that apples grew very well in this climate. And we have a lot of different apples that we can deal with. Now, when you're peeling an apple, or you're cutting up an apple, much like a banana and some fruits, they will start to brown on you, or what's known as oxidize, really very quickly when you cut that apple open. That's because the oxygen hits it and it starts oxidizing. Okay? So, a little technique to use, instead of turning those brown while you're waiting to make a pie or a cobbler or a crisp, if you take about a good amount of water, maybe a gallon of water, and you put in a few splashes of lemon juice, the acidity in the lemon juice will stop the oxidizing for a bit while you prepare your apples. So once you peel them, pop them in the lemon water, and once you slice them up, put them back in the lemon water, and then strain them before use, and you will notice that the apples will not be turning brown as quickly, and they also sweeten them up a little bit. When we're cooking, sugar is considered a liquid ingredient when we're baking, because when you melt sugar, it turns into a liquid. Brown sugar is simply granulated sugar with molasses added to it. And of course, we need to talk a little bit about carry-over cooking. Carry-over cooking means that when a product comes out of the oven, it will continue to cook. So you want to take things out just a little earlier, knowing that it's going to cook. Let's get back to the apple here. We're going to make some apple crisps. We've made some apple crisp. So first thing on number 1, let's write down apple crisp. And I'm going to give you the recipe for it on number 1. And let's write down the ingredients for a basic apple crisp. The first thing you're going to need is 1 cup or 8 ounces of brown sugar, yum. 1 cup of rolled oats, okay, meaning whole oats. 1 cup of flour, 1 stick or 4 ounces of semi-melted butter. And you're going to take all that, mix it up thoroughly. It should look uniformed. It shouldn't look like sand, but there should be some nice pea-sized shapes into that crumble, if you would. And that's going to be your crumble for your apples. Very simple, very basic. We have 4 basic ingredients in there. And sometimes basic is good. So, step 2 would be now to take 4 apples peel them, place them in your water with lemon, let them soak or sit in that lemon water for a few minutes, and then you will take them out and slice them into large dice, or about as big as your thumb, nice and square. And we want to make things cook evenly, so we want to make sure all our pieces of the apple are pretty much the same size. They don't have to be precise cuts, but they do need to be the same size cuts. Next, you're going to take a little bit of sugar, maybe half a cup, a little dash of cinnamon. And cinnamon is made from bark. It is the bark of a Southeast Asian tree, okay? So that's where cinnamon comes from. Cinnamon is very good for you, and also contains some good nutrients in that cinnamon as well. Now, next I want you to write, the technique would be to oil baking dish with some vegetable oil liberally. Good amount of oil on that pan. Drain out the excess, but you want a good even coating. Then you will take your crumble that you've created, pat it down into the pan, then place your apples on top of that, a nice even amount, maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 layers, 3 or 4 inches or so. Then take your cinnamon and sugar mixture, lightly sprinkle that on top. That gives it a nice little crunch and some sweetness, which is lovely. And then take your remaining crumble and put it on top of your cinnamon sugar apples. You do not want to mix the apples. You want to keep them plain because the crumble itself will seep through in there. You want to preheat your oven at 425 degrees. That's hot, 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 hot. So be careful, careful, careful when we're taking it out of the oven. And we're going to cook that for about 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the size of your pan or your crisp. If you're making a cupcake size apple crisp, they'll take about 15 minutes. 8 by 10 pan, about 30 minutes. And you'll know when that's going to be done. You're going to see it getting crunchy on top. And it's going to look beautiful. Okay, so that was question 1. That was a pretty long question. Here's question number 2 now. What makes a fruit a fruit and a vegetable a vegetable? Explain. Next question, I guess it would be question 3. Why is an apple considered a fruit? Number 4. Why would spinach be considered a vegetable? Number 5. Is an apple considered a whole food? And a whole food is something that has not been processed. So write down number 5. I'm trying to keep in track of my numbers so I don't lose track. But number 5, why is apple considered a whole food? And if all you have, number 6, if all you have is a tablespoon and your recipe calls for half a cup, how the heck am I gonna know? So number 6 is, how many fluid ounces is in a tablespoon? 1/2. Little answer there for you. Number 7, so if that's the fact, and there's 8 ounces in a cup, 1/2 ounce in a tablespoon, how many tablespoons am I gonna need to make a 1/2 cup? Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8. So 2 would be 2 tablespoons would be 1 ounce. 4 tablespoons would be 2 ounce. So that would be it's been a long day. 2 tablespoons equal 1 ounce. So that would be 4 tablespoons would be, 4 tablespoons would be, oh my God, I'm losing it. 4 tablespoons would be 2 ounces. So 8 tablespoons would be 4 ounces. So there's 8 tablespoons, answer to number 6. 8 tablespoons give you a half a cup. Mr. G, I'm a vegan. I don't want to eat I don't want to have any butter. What are you going to do? Number 7. What can you replace instead of butter? What can you replace? Or eggs. What can you replace instead of that? We talked about that. Half a cup or 1/4 of a cup of applesauce replaces 1 egg or a stick of butter. Okay, now, won't you take out your almighty, fabulous cell phones that we love so much, and let's get them to good use. Number 8, I want you to choose a recipe that contains apples. Anyone. Let's make sure that it has at least 6 to 10 ingredients at least. And I want you to write down the ingredients for that. And I want you to write down next to the ingredients what each ingredient does for that particular recipe. Okay? So, go on your phones, look up a recipe that uses apple, and right on there, write down each individual ingredient. If you want to use the apple crisp recipe that I gave you, fabulous, good on you. If you want to peer out and find another recipe that uses apple, even better on you. Write the recipe, what's it called? Okay? Apple turnovers, candy apples, the list goes on and on. There's applesauce, there's a lot of different recipes. Look one up and cite that for me. Put down the website or the site that you got that recipe from and write down all the ingredients. Right, okay, so let's take a minute and do that. Okay? So, you're looking at the apple recipe. You've written down all the ingredients. And now next to each ingredient, I want you to tell me its origin and what it does. For instance, we know that flour is for structure. Salt is an anti-rising agent. Butter makes things stretch. Eggs are a binding agent. Sugar makes things sweet. Baking powder makes things rise. Apples are a beautiful fruit. Write it down and find out the origin or where your recipe originated from and write that down. Good stuff. I hope you found an awesome recipe to use. I'm excited for it. Now, let's talk a little bit now. Let's say we're on number 9 or 10, or wherever we may be on our paper. Let's write these facts down, okay? I want you to define the following for me. That's going to be put down on the paper after. The large chunk of this paper should be that recipe that you researched using an apple. Again, we want the ingredients, we want the method, the origin, and what each ingredient does in that recipe, the temperature it's cooked at, and the procedure. Okay? Let's figure that out. Even if you're using the apple crisp recipe here, I want you to expand on that and tell me all the information that you found out about it. Okay? Next question. Let's say we're up to 10. How many ounces are in a cup? How many sides are on a dice? Why is an apple considered a fruit? Why is a tomato considered a fruit? Next question, what vitamins and nutrients are found in an apple? Where is the origin of an apple? I gave you a little bit during this show about the origin of an apple. I want you to do a little digging on your phone and tell me the origin of the apple. And now I want you to tell me why. I lost track of the numbers, but that's fine. You're just going to write these down and give me the answers for them. I think we're on number 15. Write down why an apple is healthy. What does it have in it? Why is it healthy? By now, I'm smelling the imaginary apple crisp that's been in the oven. It comes out of the oven and it continues to cook. Continues to cook. What's that called when it comes out of the oven? And it continues to cook. Carryover cooking, perhaps? Agree. Carryover cooking. Next question. Please write down 5 more types of fruit. 5 different types of fruit. Give me the nutritional breakdown of each of those fruits. The nutritional breakdown, how many calories it has, and why it is good for you. Good stuff. Good stuff about the apples. Do I have anything else to add about the apple? Apple, good for you. Yummy, yummy. You know that's true. We love apples every day. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. This episode, I think, was a little scattered. But I'm happy with it because I'm a little scattered coming in here right off of working at school, making things with apples. But let me tell you a little something else about apples crisp. Apple crisp can be frozen at room temperature. Once it freezes, once it comes to room temperature, you can freeze that and it's good for a good couple of months. Okay. So, basically, we're looking for the summary. Follow this right down. I know I've been a little bit all over the place, but we're talking about that beautiful, lovely apple. So, I think we can start wrapping this up. Love your apple. Be an apple. Be a whole food of an apple. Don't forget to give all that information about everything I asked for during this class. You might actually be watching this and saying, Mr. G, I'm going to go and make myself some apple crisp right now because it sounds so delicious. It's not only delicious, it's nutritious, it's fabulous, it's all about the whole foods. Keep your elbows off the table. This ain't no horse's stable, but a respectable dining room table. Feet on the floor, back straight, never bow over your plate. Chew with your mouth closed, chew with your mouth closed. You hold your fork like this, not like this. Angles when we eat. You'll be looking so neat. Why am I rhyming so much today? I don't know. I think I need an apple to get my blues away. This is Mr. G, Family and Consumer Science Show, Apple episode. Go and get yourself some fruits. Go and get yourself some vegetables. Great job today. Fill that on in. Hand it in for a grade. For those not in my class, enjoy the crisp. Enjoy the fall. Go Grizzlies!
Family and consumer science.
Mr. Greenland's podcast.
Let's learn facts.
Feet on the floor, back straight, never bow to your plate. Chew with your mouth closed, chew with your mouth closed. Get your elbows off the table.